For more, we say hello to CBS Sports NBA writer Colin Ward-Bettinger. Colin, there are many ways to frame a box score. This we know, but let's look at it like this. Steph and Klay, they combined 14 of 29. Draymond was ejected before the half. Ja gives you 34, 9, and 10. Triple J another 33, and the Grizz still lose. What did Game 1's outcome and the means by which we got there tell you about this series?
Yeah, I mean, for the Warriors, this is a loss on paper, right? Everything. I mean, you neglected to mention that Steph was a -9. D'Anthony Melton had the game of his life off the bench for the Grizzlies. Everything was pointing towards the Warriors' loss. And really, it came down to the second half. The Warriors started taking care of the ball. You could hear Steve Kerr in the timeout telling his team, we have to win the possession game. So they stopped turning the ball over, they stopped fouling, and they started getting rebounds on both ends of the floor. That gave them enough possessions to let somebody like Jordan Poole take over. And man, you just can't say enough about this guy coming in his first ever playoffs and just putting on an absolute show. But yeah, I mean, the Warriors have to just be ecstatic that they were able to come away with this win. I'm not saying it's the same thing, but it's very similar to a couple years ago when Kevin Durant hurt his calf against the Rockets. They went into Houston and closed out that series. It was a similar reaction from the Warriors. They were going crazy. They know how big this win is and what could be a very close series.
I do want to go Poole specific here in a moment, but he sort of represents the youth movement for the Warriors. But when we think of this Dubs team, it is still veteran-led, which is the complete opposite of what we look at when we see Memphis's roster. Not that there were a bunch of youthful mistakes down the stretch by the Grizzlies, but how much do you believe that experience played into the advantage of the Warriors here in Game 1?
Oh, it's everything. And the Warriors have been talking about this, even during the regular season, but certainly into the postseason. Steph Curry said it after the game. They have championship DNA. And even with Draymond Green back in the locker room, you still got champions out there. And Steph, Klay, Andre Iguodala on the bench, Kevon Looney, and you could see the Warriors were the more poised team down the stretch. Ja Morant was absolutely incredible, but it was really just kind of give him the ball and let him see if he can get to the rim. And you saw what happened on those last couple of possessions. Steph Curry got in there, got his hand on the ball, and then in the last possession, he takes a really tough left-handed layup. Meanwhile, the Warriors are moving the ball. They're getting offensive rebounds. They're finding players. Klay Thompson hits a huge three-pointer. So absolutely 100% having that championship DNA, that experience played into this win. And for Memphis, this is a team that is not used to being the hunted, right? They're the higher seed in this series, despite what the odds may say. And you saw it in the first round against Minnesota. They are not accustomed to being the guys that everyone expects to win. So they're going to have to learn how to do that in this series. And playing against a team like the Warriors with all that experience, it's going to be a tough road for them.
Colin, I found it very interesting last week, the way that Ja answered the question post-game after the game winner in Game 6 against Minnesota. What was the look? What was the call? It was Ja, go get a bucket. Did you like the set here coming down the stretch with Ja trying to, again, go get a bucket? Is that the approach that you're wanting this team to take? Just try and scoop one up the left side? Or would you like a more, rigid set, a couple options there? Or is it just Ja, go get a bucket?
Yeah, they're in a tough position because I think they did the right thing in trying to get Ja with some momentum going towards the basket. I think that was the right call. After that, you saw Klay Thompson immediately left Brandon Clark to go double Ja Morant. I think you can probably anticipate that happening. So what you maybe want to do is have Jaren Jackson pop into the top of the key, something like that, a secondary option. But that also falls on Morant. This is obviously a guy who feels that he is the franchise. He has ultimate confidence, especially with his athleticism and finishing ability. You can see why he would want to do that. But, that's, again, getting back to the experience factor. If he had seen something like that in the past, perhaps even against this team, maybe he knows they're coming, he kicks it out. But these are all split-second decisions, and they're very difficult to make when the stakes are this high.
Ja loves to say, call 12. Nobody on the other line this go around, but surely they will have to call that number once again throughout the remainder of this series. Let's talk about Jordan Poole because he was simply sensational, especially in the absence of Draymond Green. Really no drop-off for Poole specifically without that facilitator out on the floor with him. Poole here in the playoffs. He's played 6 games in these playoffs. He's been 27-plus points in 4 of those 6 games. What can you say about this young budding talent and what he does for the veteran group around him?
Look, I've been fortunate enough to watch Jordan Poole out here in the Bay Area for the last couple of years, and his growth, his development on all levels has just been incredible. First of all, he's defending. And that is something that you could not say about Jordan Poole. And that's why he's been able to stay on the court and have those offensive talents develop. But obviously, you look at him offensively, and Draymond Green said it last series against the Nuggets. He said Jordan Poole's our #1 option on offense. And that's saying something when you have Steph Curry out there and Klay Thompson out there. But you put him in the pick and roll with Curry and Thompson on the wings, that only makes things easier for them. They're shooters. You got Draymond Green usually in the middle facilitating out of the pick and roll. And what Poole's able to do is kind of what we see Steph Curry do. You know, he's doing an impression, if you will. Steve Kerr has said that in the past, where he knows how to run off the ball, he knows how to run off screens, and then when he gets the ball in his hands, he can pull up from 30 feet, or he can take it to the basket and finish with some of the most incredible athletic finishes you're ever going to see. So, even Steve Kerr said earlier, he couldn't even see this happening for Jordan Poole, even after all the improvement. To do this on a playoff stage, this is just absolutely incredible. And if he's going to play this way, it absolutely raises the ceiling for the Warriors, not only for this year, but for years to come.
Yeah, in this era of you go, I go, ISO ball, they really check the egos at the door when it comes to winning time for the Golden State Warriors. Let's talk about Game 2, spinning it forward. Take me through your biggest adjustments on each side. What do you want to see each team do better in Game 2?
Yeah, for Memphis, they just need to lock down offensively in terms of execution in the half court. They do great when they are out on the break. Things are crazy. It's energetic, frenetic basketball. That's where at their peak. When things slowed down in the second half, as we mentioned, the Warriors stopped turning the ball over. They started getting defensive rebounds. Things slowed down. Ja looked maybe a little bit tired in that third quarter before his big fourth quarter flourish. They couldn't really get a lot going. They were fortunate that Jaren Jackson just got absolutely on fire from three-point range. But finding secondary actions, finding some pet sets to get into in a half-court offense is really something that's going to help them in Game 2. And then for the Warriors, it's just staying out of foul trouble. That first half shouldn't have even have been as close as it was if they didn't have Steph Curry, Klay Thompson in foul trouble, and even Gary Payton II got into foul trouble as well. So yes, tell Draymond Green not to do any more flagrant fouls so that he stays on the court. But really, it's what they did in the second half, limiting turnovers, staying out of foul trouble, and rebounding the basketball.
It was a soft whistle, Colin. Let's call it what it was. Let's call this what it is, and it is a Dubs win. Colin Ward-Bettinger weighing in here on CBS Sports HQ. We appreciate the work and the insights as always, pal. All right, here's a look at that series schedule. Game 2 coming your way on Tuesday. Quick rest on Monday. Draymond, well, he got an extra, 24 minutes, 25 minutes of rest. But 9:30 Eastern, it's coming your way. Game 2 in Memphis before the series turns back to the West Coast beginning on Saturday.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.